What's your "I can't believe they got away with this in a kids show" moment? This kids game show with creepy kissing host https://www.youtube.com/watch VE = Z6Fe3CNWBQQ. There was some locally made British kids show back in the 1970s,
I think,
which signed off one day with a card saying, "See you next time," with only the initial letters visible for a brief moment. I think someone got fired over it. I remember that Fairly Odd Parents episode where Timmy wishes he had never been born, or something along those lines. And then he ends up realizing that everyone, including his parents, is way happier without him. Seemed pretty dark for a kids show to me. Jimmy Neutron when he is talking with his dad Hugh. His dad randomly says, "Once when I was 7, I sat on a banana. And of course, that changed my life." Jimmy and his mom's face say it all. https://ojclum7fkkk. An episode of one of the incarnations of Scooby-Doo in the late 2000s. My niece loved watching them, so I would sit and watch with her. Basically, a guest character who is a cute blonde and is crushing on Fred turns coyly to him while stating, "I'm 18, able to legally vote." Quote. More personal, but my elementary school would do a musical mashup thing every year, and one year, Grease Lightning was in it, and no one thought it necessary to change up any of the words, which meant a bunch of 10-11-year-olds sang with great confidence gems such as "It's a Real Pussy Wagon" and "The Chicks All Cream." Not a single complaint from parents either. The 90s were wild. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Amazing World of Gumball. Gumball had to blow Alan in the school's restroom. When I was a little kid, we had a huge set of dozens of Hungarian stories on cassette tapes. Every Hungarian kid I know had these, covering fairy tales of all sorts, and we'd listen to them before falling asleep at night. Anyway, there are definitely a few that once I was older I was like, wait, what? In particular, there's a fairy tale about a shepherd that never lies, and is entrusted to watch the king's sheep that has a golden fleeced sheep in it. Another king makes a wager with that king that he can get the trusted shepherd to lie. And to make it happen he sends his daughter the princess to the shepherd's field. Anyway, what then happens is they strike a bargain. And I directly translate, go under a blanket and play together all night long. After which, in the morning, she leaves with the golden sheep. I remember as a little kid really wondering what they were playing that would result in her getting the sheep. Chess. Cards. Edit. What then happens in the story is the king calls the shepherd in and asks what happened to the golden fleeced sheep, and both kings are sure he's going to lie. But then the shepherd says he traded the golden deer for a black-haired one. Then everyone has a good laugh about how clever he is. The shepherd marries the princess, and they all live happily ever after. Trust me guys, Hungarian fairy tales are asterisk weird. Asterisk. There was a Canadian-based sketch show called You Can't Do That on television, that was on Nickelodeon, that was crazy in a million ways. But the most crazy to me was the recurring firing squad sketches where a crazy South American dictator was trying to put children to death. In most cases he would mess up and accidentally get killed himself. Side note, it was the show that created Nickelodeon's famous slime gag. The episode of Cow and Chicken where a group of very butch-looking female bikers called the Buffalo Gals show up and break into Cow and Chicken's house. They proceed to start munching on the house's carpet non-stop. They also play softball. Edit. a halfway decent copy of the scene I'm talking about. https u2.be/lg5t_zkme t=00m40s. I'd forgotten the part where the dad jumps scared into the mom's arms and she's like, "They're not here for you." Haha. Very subtle Cartoon Network lol. Gargoyles in 1994. In the episode Deadly Force, Broadway, one of the gargoyles who likes cowboy movies accidentally shoots Eliza the cop with her own gun in her apartment. Blood is shown on the floor and a seriously well-done episode commences about the dangers of guns and how Eliza should have been more careful where she left it. And Broadway understands guns are not toys. It was banned for a while, but is now on Disney+. Maybe off topic, but in Iceland a few years ago the national TV showed the Teletubbies with a grown-up movie subtitles. That moment when Tinky Winky says, "I know you were high and fucked him behind my back." The DuckTales reboot has a scene where it cuts from one of the protagonists having her leg stuck under a heavy metal beam or something to her 2 weeks later walking around on a robot leg, and I think about the fact that this wholesome show canonically had a traumatized protagonist who cut off her own leg all the damn time. There's an episode of Adventure Time where Finn watches Marceline get naked from her closet and he just keeps watching cause he's like 12. When Mr. Krabs goes with SpongeBob and Patrick on a panty raid, oh my god. There's an episode of Tom and Jerry called Blue Cat Blues. There Tom basically fucks up his life going after a girl, and at the end it's heavily implied that he and Jerry kill themselves. When SpongeBob is trying to get Gary in the bath, and he shows Gary doubloon soaps and says, "Look Gary, doubloons, don't drop 'em." Quote, I was watching Inside Out with my kids the other day, and cracked up when they moved to San Francisco and were talking about hairy bears. Courage the Cowardly Dog was nightmare fuel. I have no idea how they got that on primetime children's network. The other one that comes to mind is Animaniacs and their infamous fingerprints joke. The SpongeBob episode where they learn a curse word. And even though it is bleeped, you still have SpongeBob basically saying, "Nice fucking day, Patrick." The blatant BJ in El Dorado. You don't see it, but the guy walks in on it, complete with slurping sounds, and then Kel pops up and was clearly below the waist of the other guy. Edit. And she wipes her mouth as she comes up. Edit 2, does not actually mouth wipe. I haven't seen it myself in 10 plus years and made that edit because like 20 people wrote me and said, even worse, she wipes her mouth. Quote, so I don't know what we're all remembering. Patrick, your genius is showing. Where? Proceeds to look worryingly at his genitals and quickly covers them. The episode of Regular Show where Mordecai sees Pops naked. And then at the end it shows Benson with a boner. That episode of Hey Arnold where Helga writes a poem about her trembling girlhood. Even her parrot was agog. https u2.be/vrfasga6s. And I got an award for this. Lol, thank you. Edit. Awards, oh my days, haha. Also, all the grown-ups commenting. Were we just innocent back then or dumb? In The Incredibles movie, the children flat out are responsible for multiple henchman deaths. All of 90s Ren and Stimpy. Especially the Rubber the Nipples salesman. Not counting the adult revival from 2002 by the way. Not a show, but in Aladdin and the King of Thieves when the 40 thieves are attacking Aladdin and Jasmine's wedding and Genie remarks, I thought the earth wasn't supposed to move until the honeymoon. Quote, all of Mr. Meaty. Remember the episode of SpongeBob where SpongeBob and Patrick were cursing and they censored it with dolphin noises? Totally went over my head when I was younger. Then there's the panty raid. The one episode when they were naked and had the invisible spray. Then I remember the one time when Sandy was like, SpongeBob doesn't have hair, or does he? And that one scene where SpongeBob's nose is sticking out of the dirt and Mr. Krabs says something like, please tell me that's your nose, lol. A whole bunch of adult jokes that I didn't get, but when I watch it now with my niece I feel like I'm watching an adult show sometimes, lol. Sandy Cheeks lives in Bikini Bottom. Invader Zim. Like the entire show. Fingerprints. https://youtube.be/1xmac92908 closing parenthesis. Judy Hopps Zootopia. I mean, I am just a dumb bunny, but we are good at multiplying. Shake it. Bake it. Booty quake it. https www.youtube.com/watch v=1ayrsxl5w4 and ab_channel equals la nymph from Symbionic Titan. Pretty much most of Shrek. There's so much that flies over kids' heads, lol. Rocco's Modern Life. Rocco's job was a phone sex operator. One episode his neighbor called. How the hell did they get that approved? John Dillermand. A Danish kids show about a man with an enormous penis. And #X200B. Wiki. https en.wikipedia.org/wiki/John_Dillermand. Cat in the Hat movie where Cat is holding a gardening hoe and says, "You dirty hoe. I'm sorry, I love you." I was letting my niece watch it and the entire movie had a lot of wild references I never caught as a child. Made it more amusing now, lol. In 1978, a cartoon movie was released based on the book Watership Down. It is generally considered to be the most violent thing ever to be rated for viewing by children. Here is a montage set to ear rapey metal music of some of the more graphic moments. https youtube.be/apbseek3xsqueech. It has been shown on TV during Easter a few times because it is about rabbits. Edit. I'm not saying it's a bad song, but the audio quality is poor and it is pretty screechy when they hit the high notes. In the 80s, my mom used to let me watch The Muppet Show. She stopped letting me watching it after they aired the following joke. What do you get when you cross an elephant and a rhinoceros? Quote, Elif Rhino. Quote, hell if I know. Quote, and #X200B. And #X200B. It was a simpler time. You Can't Do That on Television was such a great show but had some weird tea-curing skits, including a Nazi named Nazi that kept children chained in a dungeon. So much of the amazing world of Gumball. The prison episode comes to mind. The entire movie All Dogs Go to Heaven. Felonies left and right. Literally every horrific death or torture scene in Clone Wars. There's some really good ones that have been mentioned already. The one that comes to my mind is, I think it's called Barnyard.
It's that one cow thing Kevin James did.
He's a male cow, but with an udder. Yes, Greg, you can milk him. But like that's the whole joke though, isn't it? A male cow with a milk-producing udder. Only the highest of quality humor for the children.